What's up, guys? Let's talk about gear score, combat level, and what I am personally doing right now in Archeworld. So we pull up our character here, and you can see my equipment, nothing too fancy. We haven't even, put all our labor and infusions into our armor. We're at tier 3, kind of like basic, grand level there. We have weapons. We have a tier 4 bow, and then it's not even maxed out yet. And we also have just tier 3 swords. So personally, I am not investing anything. I'm not investing my labor or my infusions into my character's gear because there's very little point at this time. And what I'm doing instead is I'm actually farming the auction house. So this video will be about 24 hours old once you see this. This was recorded, yesterday. So what we're doing here is we are looking for good gear that is 1 BSLT on the auction house. So if we just type in 4T, which is going to give us the tier 4 gear that's available, and you'll notice that most of them are very, very cheap. So unfortunately, they're not going to get down to 1 BSLT just right now or the next day. It's slowly creeping down there. But what we're looking for is we're actually looking for rare bonus stats. So if you noticed on the bow that we had, so you scroll over the bow here, the bonus stats are in blue. Blue is like super rare. There's white, which is common, and then there's green, which is like, oh, it's rare. Green is rare, right? So this one right here, the bow that we're hovering on, is got a green stat, and then there's blue, which is like super rare. So the reason why I want the blue stats, and even though the stats are garbage, like these stats don't do anything for my bow. They don't give me any strength or power. But what it does do is it gives me more combat score, gear score. So it's going to increase that number just a little bit, right? And we're going to be stuck at tier 4 on weapon for a very, very long time right now because you need a purple Archeum core, which is just too crazy expensive, right? So right now they're currently selling for 700 BSLT. Yes, you heard that right. They're currently selling for 2,700 BSLT, and that is just a fraction of the things that you need to actually make the scroll, which is required to upgrade. And then that is not even a guaranteed success to upgrade, right? I believe it's a 33% chance to actually upgrade your gear from tier 4 to tier 5. So the odds are not in your favor. We're definitely waiting for those things to go way cheaper before we even attempt to upgrade. So we're going to have these tier 4 weapons for a very long time, and I just want to maximize my gear score because we do want to actually pump up our character's gear score at the end of the 7 days. Well, right before the end of the 7 days, because there is rankings coming up. So if you look at the ranking information, you have information here that shows character level, and the top 100 players actually get rewarded in BSLT. So you get a payout. So for the number 1 player on the server every week is going to get 800 BSLT. You can hover over here and you can see the amount of payout. So they're going to get, paid 800 BSLT every week. You can see the end period here. It ends on 4/27/00. This is most likely UTC time. So generally this is going to be the maintenance that happens on Wednesday. If you are an American player, the maintenance is on Wednesday. So this is generally when this is going to end right now. Obviously, convert this to your own time zone, but that's roughly where we're looking at right now. And then second, third, fourth, fifth, etc., they all get BSLT. So just being in the top 100, you're actually going to get 30 BSLT. And if you get up into the top 50, you actually do get 70 BSLT. If you reach up to the top 40, you're going to get 100 BSLT. So the BSLT goes up significantly. If you get into the top 20, you're going to get 150 BSLT. So you'll notice that the gear score is almost all identical, right? So they have 11,717. 11,741. So the minor differences, the 1 or 2 points, is all because of the color bonus stats that you have on your weapons and your armors. Everyone's going to have almost exactly the same stats, gear score, but those slight little differences, if you have blue stats rather than green stats or white stats, you're going to gain a couple extra combat points, which is going to push you up into the rankings and the leaderboards. Because if you go up here and you can see the top 20 players, there's still 11,837. So it's very, very close. And the only real difference between this player and someone else is typically going to be just those minor little stat bonuses. So this is why for the first couple of weeks, I am just looking at getting blue stats on these gears and buying cheap items off of the auction house. Even if it doesn't benefit my character in any way, shape, or form, it will actually push my character higher and I will earn BSLT on this. So this blue bow that I did purchase with double blue stats is just like unheard of, man. I think I ended up paying like 25 BSLT for it as well. So it wasn't that expensive. And when you really look at it, it's going to end up being, we take a look here, compared to this guy. So my bow is 36 gear score higher than this guy's bow right here. And that is 36 higher than a green stat and a white stat. So that number, that difference could make all the difference between getting, 30 BSLT or getting 200 BSLT or 150 BSLT. So it's totally worth it, in my opinion. Obviously, these are all my opinions and facts on getting a gear that is high gear score, right? And you get the high gear score with those bonus stats being blue. Green is also great, so we're probably going to end up settling, finding a weapon that has two blue stats is literally insane. Like, my guesstimation on getting a blue stat is like 1 in 100. If you look at all the weapons on the auction house, you'll notice that every single weapon has white stats. And it's very rare to see a blue or even green stat. So some of these are showing green stats. Cool. But the majority of them will actually show just white. Like, you look at all these stats, and it's just going to be white after white after white after white after white after white. So the odds are very, very low, even to get a green stat. So getting a green and a blue stat, that is very lucky. Or getting two blues, that is insane amount of luck. And it doesn't really matter much, too, because when you upgrade your weapons or armors, those stats are all going to get re-rolled away on the next tier. All my, blue stats are going to get rerolled. They're probably going to become white stats once I go to tier 5. So it literally makes no difference when you upgrade. The only difference is if you are stuck at these early stages, which most of the server will actually be stuck at tier 4 weapons and tier 3 armor for, 2 to 3 months probably is my guess. Like, the majority of the players are going to be stuck here because everyone needs the blue Archeum core to upgrade. That's what drops. That's why everyone is fighting after the Rift monsters, is because the bosses drop the blue Archeum core or the blue Archeum core shards. Those shards can be converted into a core, and the core is converted into a scroll, which upgrades your armor. To upgrade your weapon to get to tier 5, you need a purple Archeum scroll, which we talked about earlier. So everyone is fighting over these, and the stronger Rift mobs will drop the purple Archeum core. Hence why everyone is combating over these rifts, and there's just lots of PvP, there's a lot of interaction, everyone's just hungry for these things, because that's how you progress your character. And literally only at this point 1 or 2 people can progress their characters because they're buying everything off of the auction house. You can progress your character if you get lucky, right, and you get the drop and you decide to try and upgrade your character. But in my opinion, it's not very wise to do that, right? If someone's willing to pay, almost 3,000 BSLT for a purple Archeum core, might as well just sell it and then wait a week or 2, and then you can try it when the Archeum core is only 1,500 BSLT or 1,000 BSLT or 500 BSLT. Whatever the number is that is cheap, quote unquote, for you, in your opinion, that's where you go ahead and try. If you're a free-to-play player, even 500 BSLT sounds absolutely crazy. And you'll be like, oh, I want to get it when it's like 30 or 40 BSLT. So at that point, you have to wait for all of the other paying players that have, pushed the price down low enough. Once all the paying players have got all their gears upgraded, you'll be able to buy the purple Archeum cores for like 50 BSLT, in the future, right? Because at a certain point, the higher level characters do not need those anymore. And they're still going to constantly be dropping in the game. The game is always going to be providing these resources. These resources are free in game. You just have to go farm them and fight them. And so that's what players are doing. They're farming and fighting for these resources. And they are now selling them because, like I said earlier, they think that this is overpriced and they'd rather just take the BSLT and use it for other things or cash out And that's the whole principle of the game, right? You either upgrade your character or you sell the drops that you end up getting, and wait for it to go cheaper, or just leave the game and quit. So you have those different options. The whales will definitely pay things top dollar. So, people thought I was crazy because I actually was the one that was selling the purple Archean core for 2,769 BSLT. And they're like, no one's going to buy that. No one's going to buy that. And guess what? They buy it, and they buy it pretty quickly, because if they don't buy it, another whale will buy it. So they got to gobble that stuff up quickly before someone else takes it. And that is the whole principle of supply and demand. And yeah, the FOMO, right? FOMO. They can't wait to get their character stronger. And you just got to have patience in these kind of games, right? These items will all decrease in value over time. The game, again, is producing an endless supply of these things. You just have to wait and be patient. All right, guys. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, post that down below. Love to hear from you guys. And we'll see where I get to in the week. And I'll post the update when we go to the maintenance, and show you where we ended up on the gear score rankings, and then also the arena rankings, which were very similar to this as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later.